Welcome to timeless bedtime tales, where history whispers and night carries the stories of forgotten worlds. The night settles gently over the desert, spreading a deep calm across the endless stretch of sand. The soft wind drifts like a quiet whisper, brushing over the dunes as if it is remembering something old, something ancient, something that once lived in this silence. Footsteps fade, lanterns dim, and the world prepares to rest. And in this stillness, a journey begins. A journey along one of the oldest, quietest, and most mysterious roads in human history. The Silk Road. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a small settlement just before dawn. The sky is still a deep blue, but the stars are slowly softening, preparing to give way to the first touch of morning. A caravan rests nearby, camels kneeling with slow, patient breaths, their bodies gently rising and falling in the cool desert air. The traders are still half asleep, their cloaks wrapped around them, their dreams lingering like soft shadows behind their eyelids. The desert has its own rhythm, its own heartbeat, and before the sun rises, everything feels almost weightless, as if time has paused to inhale. You lift your gaze to the horizon, where the faintest line of gold begins to stretch. The beginning of a new day, a new journey, a quiet reminder that thousands of years ago, countless travelers stood exactly where you stand now. They felt the same chill on their skin, the same anticipation in their breath, the same wonder of facing a road that stretched farther than imagination itself. Slowly, the caravan begins to wake. A camel shakes its head, bells on its harness ringing softly like tiny pieces of wind chimes. A trader mutters something under his breath, rubbing his hands together as he rises from the small woven mat he slept on. Another worker stirs the embers of a dying fire, coaxing a warm glow that lights up the dark space between them. There is no rush, no urgency, just a slow understanding that everything will begin soon. Someone pours warm tea into simple clay cups. The steam rises in thin curls, mixing with the cool morning air. The traders wrap their fingers around the cups, letting the warmth settle into their palms. The tea tastes earthy, simple, familiar. It calms their minds, preparing them for the long hours ahead. You hear soft murmurs, half conversations, half yawns. Talk of distant cities, of spices yet to be sold, of silk yet to be delivered, of families waiting somewhere far behind the dunes. These travelers have left home with hope in their hearts and patience in their steps. The Silk Road demands patience. It rewards only those who understand its silence. As the sky brightens, you begin walking with the caravan. The sand crunches lightly under your feet. The camels sway gently, moving in a rhythm that feels older than memory. Their shadows stretch out behind them as the first rays of sunlight spill over the desert. Everything is bathed in gold. Warm, soft, embracing gold. The day has begun. The Silk Road is not just a place. It is an atmosphere, a feeling, a quiet world that exists somewhere between waking and dreaming. The wind picks up slightly, brushing grains of sand across your path like tiny dancers swirling together. In the distance, the horizon wavers, blurring as the heat begins to rise. But for now, the air is still cool, and the world feels gentle. You walk beside a trader named Samir. His voice is calm, slow, as if he is always half listening to the desert itself. He tells you how he has traveled this road since his youth, how the mountains in the west glow pink during sunset, how the cities in the east sparkle with lanterns at night, how every caravan has its own stories, its own whispers, its own memories tucked away like little treasures. He does not speak loudly. His tone blends with the quiet morning, becoming part of it. As you listen, your footsteps fall into an easy pattern. The gentle rhythm of walking becomes soothing, almost meditative. The steady movement of the caravan, the soft rustling of fabrics, the occasional grunt of a camel. It all blends together into a peaceful harmony. Hours pass slowly. The sun rises higher. The air warms, but not too much yet. The desert stretches in every direction, endless and calm. Time moves differently here, slower, softer, as if you are walking inside a dream. Eventually, the caravan pauses at a small cluster of stones marking an ancient rest point used by countless travelers before. The camels kneel again, and you hear the soft sound of ropes loosening, bags being set down, fabric shifting gently in the breeze. People sit in small groups, sharing dried fruit and bread, sipping water from leather flasks. There is a quiet respect among everyone here, a shared understanding of the journey. No one needs to speak much. The desert has already said enough. You sit beneath the shade of a canvas tent, feeling the warm breeze brush your face. The sun glows through the fabric in soft orange hues, painting patterns that sway lightly with every shift of wind. Your body relaxes, your shoulders loosen, your breathing deepens. The desert has a way of calming everything it touches. A few traders hum a simple tune while they eat. It's old, older than any written record. A melody passed down through generations. Soft, repetitive, comforting. You can almost imagine other travelers centuries ago humming the same tune under the same sky. After the meal, the caravan rises again. Slowly, calmly, bags are tied, ropes secured, camels lifted to their feet with gentle guidance. The journey continues. As the day grows warmer, the landscape begins to change subtly. The dunes flatten. The ground becomes harder, sprinkled with patches of small stones. You notice old footprints in the earth, shaped by caravans long gone, preserved by the desert like echoes that refuse to fade. It makes you wonder who walked here before, what languages they spoke, what dreams they carried. A soft breeze blows across your path, carrying with it the faint scent of distant vegetation. Maybe an oasis somewhere ahead. The traders notice it too. Their faces brighten just a little, though no one rushes. The Silk Road teaches everyone the same lesson. The desert gives in its own time. Hours pass in peaceful silence. The sun reaches its peak, casting bright light across the land. The air grows warmer, but the caravan continues with steady, patient steps. Small conversations drift through the air occasionally. Stories of markets in Samarkand, of carpets woven in Persia, of merchants from distant lands. Voices remain low, gentle, blending with the wind. The heat eventually softens again as the afternoon begins to lean toward evening. The shadows grow longer, stretching like dark fingers across the sand. The caravan slows down, preparing to rest for the night. And soon you see it ahead. A cluster of palm trees, a glimmer of water, and tents already pitched by earlier groups. An oasis, a small, precious pocket of life carved into the emptiness. You feel a sense of calm wash over you as the caravan approaches. The sound of water trickling, the rustle of palm leaves, the soft murmur of travelers already settled. It all feels comforting, almost like a lullaby crafted by nature. The camels are guided to drink. The traders unpack their supplies. A fire is lit, not too large, just enough to warm the evening air. The sun begins its slow descent behind the dunes, coloring the sky in shades of soft pink and gold. You sit near the water's edge, dipping your fingers into the cool surface. The reflections ripple gently, distorting the silhouettes of palm trees and lanterns. A sense of peace fills you, a sense that this place has held the footsteps of millions and still remains unchanged, unbothered, untouched by time. Night settles again. The stars return, bright and countless. The desert cools, becoming soft and comforting once more. The traders relax, sharing quiet conversations, telling stories in low voices, laughing softly, letting the night wrap around them like a warm blanket. And you sit back, listening to the gentle sounds of evening. Crackling fire, shifting sand, distant camel breaths, and the faintest whisper of wind weaving through the palms. The first day on the Silk Road comes to an end. Slow, calm, and peaceful. And tomorrow the journey will continue. The night settles gently over the oasis. The breeze cools even more, carrying the scent of the water and the soft rustle of palm leaves. Lanterns sway slightly, their warm glow casting calm, wavering reflections onto the surface of the pool. The traders finish their small meals and begin to relax, their voices quiet and slow, as if matching the rhythm of the desert itself. You lie back on a woven mat, feeling the fibers press softly beneath you. Above, the stars shine bright, untouched by smoke or city lights. They look close, almost close enough to touch. For travelers of the Silk Road, these stars were more than decoration. They were guides, companions, silent watchers of every journey taken across the sands. You find comfort in them, knowing they watched over countless others before you. A trader near you begins to speak softly. His name is Idris, an older man with gentle eyes and a calm voice. He talks about how he has taken this road since he was a young boy. He remembers walking beside his father, learning how to read the wind, how to sense a storm long before the sky changed, how to find water by watching the behavior of birds. His stories flow slowly, like water moving around a bend in a river. You listen, letting the tones soothe your mind. He describes the cities waiting at the far end of the deserts. Cities full of lights and markets, spices and fabrics, voices and music. He speaks of Samarkand, where blue tiles shine under the sun, and Kashgar, where traders from every direction gather like threads weaving a giant tapestry. You imagine these places glowing in the distance, warm and welcoming, waiting at the end of weeks of travel. The fire crackles softly as you listen. The flames rise and fall in a slow dance. The warmth touches your skin, then pulls away as the breeze shifts. Everything feels gentle, unhurried. Eventually, the conversations fade. One by one, the traders settle into sleep. The camels rest quietly, their large shadows stretching out under the starry sky. The oasis becomes silent, except for the natural sounds that fill the night. The soft ripple of water, the distant call of a night bird, the faint hum of the desert wind brushing against the palms. You close your eyes for a moment. Even though you are far from home, something about this place feels familiar. Safe. The Silk Road has a way of holding the traveler gently, as if saying, you are part of something ancient now. You are part of a path walked by millions of footsteps before yours. When morning comes, it arrives softly. The sky shifts from deep blue to pale lavender, then to soft gold. The first light touches the palm leaves, setting them aglow. Dew glistens on the sand like tiny crystals that appeared overnight. The traders begin to wake with slow movements. No one hurries. They stretch, rub their eyes, and greet the day with quiet voices. Idris pours warm tea again, and the steam rises into the cool air. You sip it slowly, feeling the warmth travel through your chest. The camels are prepared once more. Saddles are checked, ropes tied, bags secured. Everything is done with practiced calm. The desert encourages patience, and everyone respects its pace. When the caravan begins to move again, the sound of footsteps and soft bells fills the air. You walk beside Samir once more. He gives you a small smile, the kind that feels reassuring. Ahead, the desert stretches wide and open, waiting for you. As the sun climbs, the colors around you change. The sand becomes brighter, almost glowing. The sky turns a deep, endless blue. Heat begins to rise, but the wind stays gentle. The horizon looks like it is wavering, but you know it is only the dance of light and air. Hours pass. The desert shifts slowly, showing small signs of life here and there. Tiny shrubs, a bird cutting through the sky, traces of old caravan paths that never fully disappear. Every few miles, you see markers left by travelers long ago, small stacks of stones or pieces of pottery that survived the years. The caravan stops at midday. Not for long, just enough to rest, drink water, and let the camels breathe. You sit on the sand, feeling its warmth beneath your hands. A quiet calm settles over everyone. No one speaks much. There is something meditative about being in the middle of such vastness. It humbles and comforts at the same time. When the caravan moves again, the shadows slowly stretch as the day begins to lean toward evening. The sun softens, losing its harsh edge. The sky grows warmer in color, turning shades of amber and rose. Then, just as the day begins to end, you see something in the distance. Not an oasis this time, but a caravanserai, a resting house used by travelers for centuries. Its walls rise from the desert like an old guardian, strong and patient. Lanterns glow softly at the entrance, welcoming anyone who approaches. The sight fills the traders with relief. A safe place to sleep, a place with thick walls to shield from the night wind, a place where stories from many lands gather like birds finding the same branch. As you approach, you feel a sense of warmth settle in your chest. Another night on the Silk Road awaits, gentle and calm. The caravan approaches the caravanserai slowly, and the warm lantern light grows brighter with each step. The building stands strong against the desert, made of thick stone walls that have faced centuries of wind and sand. Its entrance arch is wide, welcoming, and carved with patterns worn smooth by countless hands that touched it on their way inside. As you enter, the cool shade wraps around you like a soft cloth. The air inside feels different, still warm, but gentler, calmer, touched by the faint smell of old wood, dried herbs, and the lingering smoke of past fires. The space is large and open, with a central courtyard where travelers settle down, camels kneel, and fires are lit for the evening. You hear low chatter from groups already resting here. Some travelers sit on carpets, sharing simple meals and speaking in languages you don't recognize. Others nap quietly, grateful for the safety of the walls. The sound is soft, a peaceful hum that blends with the crackling of small fires. Your caravan chooses a corner near a stone well. The water inside is cool and clean, reflecting the dim lanterns hanging above it. Idris fills a few clay cups, offering them to the traders with a warm smile. Everyone drinks slowly, savoring the freshness. You sit down on a woven rug. The journey through the heat has tired your legs, but the rest feels good. Not heavy, just quiet. A comfortable calm settles in your body as you lean back and stretch your arms. The sky above the courtyard is darkening, and the first stars begin to appear. The walls of the caravanserai frame the night like a picture. Samir sits beside you, picking at a small bowl of dried figs. He hands you one without a word. You take it, and the sweetness melts slowly on your tongue. This flavor feels like a tiny reminder of home. Around you, the atmosphere grows softer. Travelers light small lanterns, placing them carefully on the ground. Their glow spreads gently, illuminating faces, fabrics, and pottery. Everything looks warm and peaceful under the soft light. A musician in the corner lifts a simple stringed instrument, perhaps a rebab. He begins to play very lightly, the notes slow and mellow. The melody flows through the courtyard like a drifting breeze. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists, calming those who listen. The traders near you settle in comfortably. One man stretches out on a blanket, folding his arms behind his head. Another slowly turns a skewer of food over a small fire. Idris hums along with the musician, barely audible, but pleasant. The entire courtyard feels like a place that belongs to time itself, untouched by worry. As the music continues, Idris begins another story, speaking in his soft, steady way. He tells of a time he traveled through the high mountains, where snow fell silently and the sky seemed close enough to touch. He describes the smell of pine trees, the way the air tasted cold and clean, and how small fires kept travelers warm as they huddled together under wool blankets. You imagine the scene while he speaks. The contrast between cold mountains and the warm desert feels almost magical. His voice guides your mind like a gentle hand, leading you through landscapes you have never seen but can picture clearly. The fire in front of you crackles quietly, sending small sparks drifting upward. The warmth reaches your face, and you feel your eyelids growing heavier. The melody from the musician continues, slow and dreamy, weaving through Idris's words like a soft thread. After a while, plates of simple food are passed around. Bread baked that morning, lentils seasoned lightly, and pieces of roasted vegetable. The meal is humble but comforting. You eat slowly, enjoying the stillness around you. Above, the stars continue to fill the sky, thousands of tiny lights scattered across the darkness. The air cools more, and the breeze becomes softer, brushing your skin like a feather. The lanterns flicker slightly, their flames dancing in the shifting air. Idris finishes his story, and for a moment, silence rests over the group. A peaceful silence, the kind that feels full and warm, not empty. You breathe deeply, letting the calm settle deeper into your chest. Eventually, people begin preparing for sleep. Mats are spread out. Blankets are unrolled. The fires die down, leaving a soft red glow. Camels outside the courtyard settle into the sand, their gentle breaths rising and falling against the stillness. Samir pats you lightly on the shoulder before lying down. His voice is barely above a whisper as he says, "Rest well. Tomorrow brings a long stretch, but a beautiful one." You lie down on your mat, feeling the woven fibers beneath you. The stone walls protect you from the wind, and the faint warmth of the day still lingers in them. The night sky above seems endless, and you watch a few stars twinkle as your eyes grow heavy. The musician plays a few final notes, letting them drift into the darkness. Someone extinguishes a lantern. Another person turns in their sleep. The soft sounds of breathing and distant camel murmurs blend into a rhythm that lulls your mind toward rest. As sleep begins to pull you in, you feel a sense of connection to the travelers around you, to those who walked this road centuries ago, and to the countless stories carried through the desert by people searching for trade, adventure, or simply a new horizon. The Silk Road holds you gently, like a cradle made of time and sand, and you drift into deep, peaceful rest. Morning arrives quietly inside the caravanserai. The sky shifts from dark blue to soft gray, then to pale gold as the first light slips over the desert walls. Birds hidden among the wooden beams begin to chirp softly, their voices gentle and rhythmic. A faint breeze moves through the courtyard, lifting the edges of blankets and carrying the cool scent of dawn. You open your eyes slowly, feeling the comfort of a night spent safely behind stone walls. Around you, other travelers begin to stir. Some stretch their arms, others rub their eyes, and a few sit upright in silence, enjoying the calm beginning of a new day on the Silk Road. The atmosphere is quiet and warm, like a shared breath between everyone present. Samir is already awake, crouched near the small fire pit. He blows softly on the embers and adds a few dry twigs. The flames rise gently, bringing back a bit of warmth to the cool morning air. He notices you waking and gives a small, friendly nod. Idris approaches the well, pulling up a bucket of fresh water. The wooden handle creaks softly as it turns. He fills a few clay cups and brings one to you. The water tastes crisp and refreshing, almost sweet compared to the dry desert air. It wakes your senses in a calm, pleasant way. A simple breakfast is prepared. Flat bread warmed over the fire, dates harvested from nearby palms, and a small amount of cheese wrapped in cloth. You eat slowly, savoring the simplicity of the meal. Travelers around you do the same. Some share food, others trade small items, exchanging soft words and quiet laughter. The sense of community, even among strangers, feels comforting. As the sun rises higher, the caravan begins preparing to leave. Saddles are tightened, ropes are checked, and bags are tied firmly. Camels are guided to their feet with gentle calls and light touches. Their movements are slow and patient, as if they too know the pace of the long road ahead. Before setting out, a caretaker of the caravanserai offers a silent gesture of farewell. He stands near the entrance, hands folded, giving each traveler a small nod as they pass. His face carries kindness and age, shaped by years of watching countless caravans come and go. You wonder how many stories he has witnessed, how many journeys he has silently guarded. Stepping out of the caravanserai, the sunlight greets you fully. The desert stretches wide and open, glowing softly under the early morning light. The air is cool, but you can already feel the promise of warmth to come. The sand glitters in the sun, tiny grains catching the light like little sparks. The caravan moves in a steady line, footsteps creating a gentle rhythm. The bells on the camels chime softly with each sway. The sound is soothing, like a calm, guiding heartbeat that keeps everyone connected. As you walk, Samir points to the distant horizon. Faint shapes of low hills rise there, their outlines hazy in the growing light. "We'll reach those by late afternoon," he says softly. His voice is calm, reassuring. Beyond them, the land becomes kinder. More shade, more pockets of cool air. It is a good stretch. You take in the changing scenery. The sand dunes shift in gentle curves, their surfaces smooth except for patterns carved by the wind. Occasionally, you see the remains of old footsteps, perhaps from caravans that passed through weeks ago. The desert keeps memories longer than people do. Hours pass in quiet harmony. The sun climbs, but the breeze remains steady, making the heat more bearable. You find your steps falling into an easy rhythm again. The sound of fabric rustling, camel breaths, and the soft crunch of sand creates a calming blend that soothes your thoughts. Idris begins to speak as you walk. His tone is slow and peaceful. He tells you about traders who once carried not only silk and spices, but also stories, ideas, and knowledge. He speaks of mathematicians who traveled west and herbalists who traveled east. He says the Silk Road was not just a corridor for goods. It was a river of human connection, flowing across borders and mountains, giving and receiving wisdom in every direction. The way he describes it makes you picture little glimmers of thoughts drifting across the desert, settling like seeds in new lands. Knowledge carried in the pockets of travelers, shared over meals, or traded for hospitality. Ideas that grew into discoveries far from where they began. Listening to him brings a sense of quiet wonder. The desert around you feels less empty and more alive, filled with invisible footprints of thoughts and dreams that passed through long ago. As midday approaches, the caravan pauses near a cluster of rocks that cast long shadows. The shade feels cool against your skin. People sit down, drink water, and rest their legs. The camels kneel gratefully, stretching their long necks toward the ground. You lean back, letting your body relax. The warmth of the desert settles into your muscles, but you don't feel tired. Instead, you feel grounded, present, aware of the peaceful rhythm of the journey. The wind brushes softly across your face, carrying grains of sand that feel like tiny touches. After the rest, everyone rises again. The sun begins its long arc downward, and the air becomes gentler. The hills ahead grow clearer, their shadows deepening with each hour. As you reach the base of the hills, the temperature cools noticeably. The ground becomes firmer, dotted with small shrubs. The scent in the air changes slightly, holding a faint earthy note. The climb is gradual, not difficult, and the higher you walk, the wider the view behind you becomes. When you reach the ridge, the desert stretches far and endless in every direction, glowing under the afternoon light. The sight makes you inhale slowly, a natural response to the vast beauty before you. Samir smiles softly beside you. The road teaches patience, he says, but it also teaches gratitude. With the sun beginning its descent, the caravan starts searching for a place to settle for the night. Down in the gentle valley beyond the hill, you see a small flat area protected by rock formations. It looks quiet, safe, peaceful, the perfect place to rest. The caravan heads down the gentle slope toward the sheltered valley. The air feels cooler here, touched by the shade that the hills cast across the sand. The ground is smoother than the open desert, with patches of firm soil shaped by years of wind and the rare touch of rain. As you walk, you feel the temperature slowly change, settling into something comfortable and soothing. When the group reaches the flat area, the camels kneel almost at once, grateful for the rest. The soft thump of their legs folding beneath them echoes lightly against the stone formations nearby. Traders begin unloading supplies, setting down bags, arranging blankets, and checking the campsite with practiced calm. The entire process is quiet and smooth, as if everyone knows exactly what needs to be done without speaking much. You take a moment to look around. The valley is peaceful, with walls of rock that rise just high enough to break the wind. The sun is lowering, casting long, soft shadows across the ground. Its golden light spreads across the stone, making the surface glow as if lit from within. A faint rustle of wind passes through the shrubs, bringing a dry but comforting scent. Idris begins arranging a small fire pit, placing stones in a tight circle. Samir gathers slender branches and dried roots from a nearby cluster of plants. When they light the fire, the flames rise gently, producing a soft crackling sound. The smoke drifts upward in thin curls, disappearing into the warm evening air. The others sit nearby, forming a loose circle. Some lean back on their elbows, others rest with their legs folded. There's a shared sense of ease among everyone. A day of steady travel is done, and the desert now feels like an old companion, calm and familiar. As dusk begins to deepen, the sky shifts into a palette of soft colors. Shades of peach blend into pale blue, and the first faint stars begin to shimmer above. The desert transforms when the sun sinks. Sounds soften, shadows stretch longer, and a quiet stillness settles over everything. You breathe it in slowly, feeling your body relax even more. A pot of simple stew is placed over the fire. The gentle simmering releases a warm, earthy aroma into the air. Lentils, herbs, and small pieces of dried vegetable mix together into a comforting scent. You watch the steam rise, twisting softly in the glow of the flames. When the meal is ready, bowls are passed around. You take one, feeling the warmth spread into your hands. The first spoonful is comforting and savory, filling your stomach and relaxing your mind. Eating together under the open sky brings a feeling of unity, a quiet bond among travelers who may not speak the same language but share the same road. As night settles in fully, the stars become brighter. Thousands of tiny lights shine overhead, scattered across the dark sky with perfect clarity. The Milky Way stretches across the heavens like a faint white river. You find yourself staring upward for a long moment, breathing slowly, appreciating how vast and peaceful the world feels from here. Idris begins to speak again, his voice low and warm. He tells a story from years ago, about a small caravan he once traveled with through a snow-covered pass. He describes how the mountains shimmered under moonlight, how the travelers huddled together for warmth, how they shared songs to keep their spirits steady during long nights. His words flow smoothly, creating soft images in your mind. The traders listen quietly. Some smile, others close their eyes, simply enjoying the sound of the story. Every tale told on the Silk Road carries pieces of many lands. They drift through the air like gentle threads, weaving connections between people who might never meet again. After Idris finishes, Samir adds a story of his own. His tale is lighter, about a time when a curious goat followed their caravan for almost 3 days, refusing to leave. He describes how the goat kept stealing bits of food when no one was watching, and how everyone ended up laughing more than scolding. The traders around you chuckle softly as he speaks, the sound warm and genuine. You notice how the night wraps around the group like a soft blanket. The fire glows steadily, casting a gentle light across the faces of the travelers. The air is cool but comfortable, and the rocks around you hold a faint trace of warmth from the day. Every moment feels peaceful, unhurried. Someone begins to hum a simple tune. The melody is slow, almost like a lullaby. Others join softly, not singing loudly, but offering their voices in gentle harmony. The sound blends with the crackling fire and the whispering wind, creating a calm rhythm that settles deep into your chest. As the music fades, you find yourself feeling pleasantly tired. Not exhausted, but deeply relaxed. A kind of tiredness that comes from a good day, filled with steady walking, warm company, and meaningful silence. The desert has a way of clearing the mind, letting worries drift away like sand carried by the breeze. You lie back on your blanket, folding your hands behind your head. The sky above expands endlessly, a deep and quiet ocean of stars. The firelight flickers across the stones, casting gentle shadows that sway with each movement of the flames. The voices around you begin to fade as the traders settle down for sleep. Blankets are wrapped around shoulders, heads rest on rolled cloths, and the soft murmur of breathing replaces conversation. Camels rest nearby, their silhouettes still and calm against the starlit sky. Your eyes begin to grow heavy. The sounds of the desert at night become steady and soothing. The distant call of a bird, the shifting sand, the fading crackle of the fire. As you drift toward sleep, you feel a sense of gratitude for the road, for the stillness, for the quiet moments shared with strangers who feel less like strangers now. The Silk Road continues tomorrow, with new landscapes and new stories waiting beyond the horizon. For now, though, you rest peacefully under the gentle glow of the stars. Morning returns softly, as it always does on the desert road. The darkness fades slowly, turning into a cool bluish gray, and then into a gentle warmth of early light. The air is crisp, carrying a faint chill that lingers from the night. You breathe it in and feel it clear your thoughts, steady your mind, and quietly welcome a new day. Around you, the camp begins to stir. The first sounds are subtle, the rustle of blankets being folded, the soft groan of a camel stretching its long neck, the low murmur of a trader greeting another with a sleepy voice. These small sounds blend into a peaceful morning rhythm, one that feels familiar even though each day on this journey is new. You sit up slowly and look around. Samir is already awake, kneeling near the fire pit. Only faint embers remain, glowing weakly beneath a thin layer of ash. He adds a few dry sticks, and soon the fire crackles softly to life. Idris brings over a small pot and begins preparing tea. The scent rises almost immediately, warm, earthy, and calming. The sky above is turning a pale gold as the sun prepares to rise fully. The tops of the rock formations catch the early light first, glowing softly while the valley below remains shadowed. It creates a beautiful contrast, like the desert is waking in gentle stages. As everyone gathers around the fire, breakfast is shared with simple contentment. Bread warmed over the flames, dried fruit, a handful of nuts, and the comforting tea. You eat slowly, savoring the warmth as it spreads through your chest. The group speaks quietly, conserving energy for the journey ahead. There is no rush, only a steady preparation for another day of walking. After the meal, the camp is packed with smooth and efficient motions. Blankets rolled, bags tightened, ropes checked. The camels rise one by one, each movement slow and deliberate. Their breath forms little clouds in the cool air, fading quickly as the sun climbs higher. By the time the caravan begins moving, the sky is bright and clear. The valley behind you grows smaller with each step, eventually becoming part of the wide desert landscape once more. The path ahead stretches far and open, with gentle slopes and distant hills softened by the morning light. The air warms gradually, not too fast, not too sharply, just a slow shift into comfortable heat. The sand beneath your feet feels firmer here, mixed with small stones that crunch lightly as you walk. The breeze remains steady, brushing past your face like a calm hand guiding you forward. For a long while, the journey continues in peaceful silence. The only sounds are the rhythmic steps of people and animals, the soft jingle of harness bells, and the whispering wind moving across the open land. Your thoughts drift easily in this quiet atmosphere, neither rushed nor heavy. The desert seems to encourage a natural calm, as if reminding you to simply exist in the moment. After some time, Idris walks beside you. His steps are slow and even, and his presence somehow adds to the peacefulness of the journey. He starts telling you about an old merchant he once knew, a man who traveled the Silk Road for more than 40 years. Idris describes him as gentle, wise, and endlessly curious about people. He says the merchant believed every traveler carried a story worth hearing, and every city held a lesson worth learning. As Idris speaks, you sense the affection in his voice. His story paints a picture of a man who embodied the heart of the Silk Road, a spirit of patience, understanding, and quiet wonder. You imagine this merchant walking these same sands long ago, sharing smiles with strangers, exchanging goods with kindness, and collecting memories like precious treasures. The story lingers in your mind long after Idris finishes. The desert stretches on before you, but now it feels filled with unseen footsteps and echoes of those who walked here centuries before. It gives the land a depth, a feeling that time itself moves gently through these open spaces. Around midday, the caravan stops near a scattering of large rocks. These formations create enough shade to rest beneath, offering a cool refuge from the bright sun. Everyone settles down gratefully. Water flasks are passed around, and people sit on the soft ground, stretching tired legs and easing their shoulders. You rest beneath a slanted rock that shields you from the light. The shade feels refreshing. A faint breeze drifts through, carrying the coolness of the stone. For a moment, you close your eyes and listen to the quiet. The murmur of traders speaking softly, the sound of a camel chewing slowly, the rustle of fabric shifting in the breeze. It all blends into a soothing midday lull. When the caravan moves again, the afternoon sun begins to mellow. The sky grows richer in color, with hints of orange and soft pink near the horizon. Samir points toward a distant shape, a line of tall trees, their silhouettes rising from the sand like dark brushstrokes. Another oasis, he says with a small smile. We should reach it before the sun sets. The sight fills you with gentle anticipation. The idea of cool water, soft shade, and a peaceful resting place warms your heart. As the caravan continues, the trees grow clearer. The air picks up a slight hint of moisture, subtle but noticeable. The ground becomes firmer again, sprinkled with patches of dry grass. When you finally reach the oasis, the atmosphere changes instantly. The sound of rustling leaves welcomes you. The water glistens in the fading sunlight. You hear the quiet splash of a bird dipping into the pool and the soft whisper of wind moving through the palms. It feels like stepping into a small paradise carved out of the desert. The camels drink eagerly. Traders fill their flasks, wash their faces, and stretch their arms with relief. You kneel beside the water, cupping your hands and letting the coolness refresh your skin. The feeling is almost magical after a long day of walking. As the sun sets behind the dunes, the sky becomes a canvas of deep orange, pink, and purple. Lanterns are lit and placed around the campsite. Their warm glow reflects softly on the water, creating gentle ripples of light. The group sits together near the pool. Conversations are soft. Laughter is quiet. The air is peaceful, filled with the comforting sounds of evening. You sit back and breathe deeply, watching the sky darken slowly. Stars appear one by one, shimmering like distant fires. The desert wind cools even more, brushing lightly across your arms and neck. Another night on the Silk Road begins, calm, gentle, full of quiet wonder. Night settles over the oasis with a soft and graceful descent. The sky deepens into a calm, velvety darkness, and the stars brighten above, casting a gentle shimmer over the still water. Lanterns flicker around the campsite, their warm glow reflected in small ripples along the pool's surface. The sound of rustling palm leaves fills the air like a quiet lullaby, soothing and slow. The traders finish eating and begin to relax. Some stretch out on their blankets, their bodies sinking into the soft ground after a long day of walking. Others sit in small groups, speaking in low tones that blend softly with the night breeze. A few camels wander near the edge of the oasis, their silhouettes large and calm beneath the star-filled sky. Every movement feels slow, peaceful, and unhurried. You sit near the water with Samir and Idris. The air is cool, but pleasant enough that you don't feel the need for extra layers. Idris holds a small clay cup of tea, sipping it slowly as he gazes into the distance. Nights like this, he says gently, remind us that the desert is kinder than people think. It knows how to welcome those who move with patience. Samir nods in agreement. And it teaches us to listen, he adds softly. When the wind changes, when the sky shifts, when the sand speaks beneath your feet, those who listen travel safely. You let their words sink in. It's easy to understand what they mean. The desert feels alive in its own quiet way. It rewards those who respect its silence, those who don't rush, those who move with calm intention. Idris begins another story, his voice gentle and steady. He tells you about a caravan he traveled with many years ago that crossed this same oasis. He remembers a young boy who had never left home before, who was filled with excitement and curiosity. The boy asked endless questions about the road, the sky, the stars, the animals, the cities that lay far beyond the horizon. Idris recalls how the boy's enthusiasm lifted the spirits of everyone around him, even after difficult days. As Idris speaks, you can almost picture the scene. A younger version of him sitting in this same kind of night, sharing tea with a boy whose eyes sparkled with wonder. The image feels warm and comforting, like a memory the desert itself hasn't forgotten. When the story ends, the group around you falls into a peaceful silence. The fire burns low, glowing softly with deep orange embers. The breeze feels cooler now, but not chilling. It brushes gently against your skin, carrying the faint scent of palm leaves and water. You lie back on your blanket and look up at the sky. The stars feel especially bright tonight, The Milky Way glows faintly, stretching across the sky like a pale path of light. A few shooting stars appear now and then, brief streaks of brightness that vanish almost as quickly as they come. Each one feels like a quiet gift from the night. Samir sits beside you, his gaze fixed upward as well. My father used to say, he murmurs, that every traveler has a star that watches over them on the road. Some believe the star guides you. Others say it listens to your hopes. Either way, the sky is never empty. His words bring a soft warmth to your chest. You continue staring upward, letting the vastness of the night sky wash over your mind. It's comforting to know how many travelers before you have looked at these same stars, feeling the same sense of calm, the same sense of wonder. As the night grows deeper, the sounds around you fade even more. The traders begin settling into sleep. Blankets are pulled up, lanterns dimmed, and quiet murmurs soften until they disappear entirely. Only the natural sounds remain, the whisper of wind, the distant call of a night bird, and the faint stirring of camels resting near the trees. You close your eyes, breathing slowly. The cool air fills your lungs, and the scent of the oasis lingers on your senses. Your body feels heavy in a pleasant way, sinking gently into the comforting softness of the blanket beneath you. Sleep begins to approach, slow and steady, like a warm wave drifting in from a quiet shore. But just before you drift off completely, you hear Idris's soft voice carry across the campsite, speaking to no one in particular. Tomorrow we travel along an old riverbed. The ground will be easier and the wind cooler. It is a good path. His words echo in your mind as you relax deeper. Tomorrow will bring another gentle stretch of the journey. More steady footsteps, more soft conversations, more moments of peaceful silence where the desert feels like a companion walking beside you. With that thought, your breathing slows even more. Your eyelids grow heavier. The sounds around you become distant and lulling. The stars continue shining above, keeping quiet watch. And soon, sleep envelopes you completely. You wake to the soft glow of early morning light. The breeze carries a faint hint of moisture, unusual for the desert but refreshing. Palm leaves shimmer faintly as the sun begins its slow rise. The oasis feels calm, untouched, as if it has been holding the night gently and is now passing it into the hands of the day. The traders begin to wake again. Quiet movements, soft footsteps, the familiar sound of Samir stirring the fire to life. Idris greeting the morning with a low hum. There is comfort in these small rituals, comfort in repetition. As you drink your warm morning tea, the sky brightens to a soft orange and pale blue. The water reflects the colors beautifully, creating a painting that shifts with every small ripple. The caravan prepares to move once more. Camels are guided to their feet, supplies carefully tied in place. The last lanterns are extinguished, the fire is covered for safety, and the group gathers for departure. The oasis behind you remains calm, as if it is gently watching you go. Walking away, you take one last look back. The palm trees sway lightly, the water glistens, and the birds flutter overhead. It feels like the oasis is wishing you well on your journey. Ahead lies the old riverbed Idris mentioned, a path shaped by water long gone, but still holding cool earth, smoother ground, and a softness different from open desert. The caravan moves forward, slow and steady, steps falling into the familiar rhythm of the Silk Road. Another day begins. The first steps into the old riverbed feel noticeably different. The ground is firmer, packed by the memory of ancient water that once flowed through this very path. The sand is cooler here, touched by layers of earth beneath it. Each step feels steady, almost comforting. The air carries a faint dampness that lingers from the oasis, drifting softly around you like a reminder of the night before. The caravan moves in a smooth line. Camels step calmly, their feet pressing gentle shapes into the ground. The breeze flows through the shallow channel of the riverbed, guiding the group forward with quiet encouragement. The morning light stretches across the land in soft, warm beams. Samir walks beside you, his hands clasped behind his back. This riverbed, he says, once carried water that connected villages. Long gone now, but the land remembers. His voice matches the calm of the morning. Travelers like this road. Fewer dunes. Fewer sudden changes. You can feel the difference. The path allows your mind to wander easily, drifting rather than focusing on each step. You glance around and notice bits of smooth stone, polished long ago by flowing water. Some small patches of dried grass cling to life near the edges. It feels like walking through a quiet memory. After some time, Idris joins you. He smiles softly and points toward the distant ridge. By afternoon, we'll see the foothills of an old trading pass, he says. Many caravans rest there. It's a gentle place, with breezes that cool the skin. You nod, picturing the calm landscape ahead. The Silk Road has many such places, small, quiet corners of the world, shaped by the footsteps of people who carried goods and dreams from one land to another. As the sun climbs higher, the riverbed narrows. The sandstone walls rise slightly on either side, creating a sheltered corridor. Shadows fall across the path, giving you moments of coolness as you walk through each shaded patch. The breeze becomes a soft hum, bouncing gently between the rocks like a whispering companion. The traders talk occasionally, their voices low and unhurried. They share bits of memory, pieces of wisdom, or simple observations about the day. Everything feels light, peaceful, and comfortable. The camels grunt softly from time to time, adding their slow rhythm to the journey. Midday approaches, and the sun begins to warm the air more deeply. Still, the riverbed provides enough shade to make the heat bearable. The caravan stops near a natural curve where the ground dips slightly, creating a cool hollow untouched by direct sunlight. Blankets are laid out. Water is passed around. People sit, stretch, and settle into the calm pause of the early afternoon. You rest your back against a large stone wall. Its surface feels unexpectedly cool despite the sun above. You close your eyes for a moment, listening to the soft sounds around you. A camel snorts gently. Someone shifts their pack. The wind glides through the narrow passage in slow, soothing waves. All of it blends into a quiet chorus that calms the mind. Idris sits beside you and begins another story. He speaks of a hidden mountain lake far to the east, a place he visited once with a small caravan. He describes the way the lake reflected the sky so perfectly that travelers couldn't tell where water ended and sky began. He tells you how the surrounding cliffs caught the echo of every voice, as if the mountains themselves listened. You picture it clearly, a mirror-like lake tucked into ancient mountains, holding reflections of stars and clouds and travelers who paused there for one brief moment in their long journeys. Idris's voice paints it gently, without urgency, letting each image rise and settle like slow-moving clouds. When the group rises again to continue walking, the sun is already starting its gradual descent. The sky shifts into warmer tones, and the shadows on the riverbed stretch longer. The light softens, bathing everything in a calm glow that makes the desert feel serene and welcoming. The path begins to widen as the riverbed opens up. Ahead, you see the foothills Idris mentioned. They're not steep, but they rise gently above the land, covered in small shrubs that sway lightly in the wind. Beyond them, lies an old resting place shaped by centuries of caravans passing through. As you approach the foothills, the temperature cools again. The air carries a faint earthy scent, as if plants hidden among the rocks release their fragrance when touched by wind. You inhale slowly, appreciating the change. The climb is easy, just enough to feel the shift from flat desert to softly rising ground. When you reach the top of the slope, the view opens beautifully. Below lies a wide, shallow basin dotted with flat stones and patches of dry grass. A few small trees, thin but resilient, stand scattered across the area. It looks quiet, peaceful, welcoming. The caravan makes its way down and begins to form a circle around a clear, open space in the center. Camels kneel with familiar motions. Packs are untied. Traders stretch and roll their shoulders, grateful for the stop. You find a smooth stone and sit on it, watching the sky change colors above the basin. The breeze feels cool and steady. Birds glide overhead, drifting lazily on the wind. The entire scene feels like a small sanctuary in the midst of the long journey. Samir lights a small fire, its flames soft and controlled. Idris arranges cooking pots and begins preparing an evening meal. The scents of herbs and simmering broth slowly spread through the air. People settle around the fire, their faces soft in the warm glow. As night approaches, the foothills fade into shadows. The stars appear once more, twinkling with familiar calm. The fire crackles gently, adding warmth and a soothing sound that blends with the night wind. You lean back, letting the cool air brush your skin, listening to the quiet voices of traders sharing short stories, soft laughter, and peaceful sighs of tired but content travelers. The Silk Road stretches on, but for now the day is done. The night invites rest, and the world feels calm. Night deepens slowly over the foothill basin, settling with a gentle calm that feels almost protective. The air cools in steady waves, brushing softly against your skin. The fire at the center of the camp glows warmly, casting shifting patterns of light across the stones and the relaxed faces of the travelers. The soft crackle of the wood blends with the whisper of the wind moving between the hills. You sit a little closer to the fire, feeling its warmth reach your hands. Samir stirs the pot of stew with slow, even motions, and the rich aroma lifts into the air, comforting and familiar. Idris hands out small bowls again, and everyone eats quietly, savoring the simple flavors. After a long day on the road, even the simplest meal feels like a blessing. As the meal ends, people settle into calm conversation. Some speak about past journeys, others about their families far away, and a few simply listen, their bodies resting while their minds drift with the stories around them. The mood is gentle and slow. No one feels the need to fill the silence too much. The desert has taught everyone that silence is part of the journey. A young traveler from another caravan approaches your group. He has kind eyes and a shy smile. He sits near the fire and begins to play a small wooden flute. The music is soft and airy, the notes rising and falling like the wind itself. The melody carries across the basin, blending with the quiet night. It isn't loud or demanding. It simply exists, as natural as the movement of the stars above. You watch the sky while he plays. Stars glow brighter by the minute, filling the vast darkness with countless tiny lights. The constellations begin to reveal themselves, forming familiar shapes used for navigation by travelers long before you. The more you look, the more it feels like the sky expands, stretching endlessly in peaceful silence. When the song ends, a soft ripple of appreciation moves through the camp. The young traveler smiles shyly and stands, bowing his head before walking back to his group. The gentle music lingers in your mind long after the flute has quieted. Samir lies back on his blanket, folding his arms behind his head. This road, he says quietly, is full of small gifts. A song, a breeze, a cool night after a long day. Sometimes they mean more than anything we carry. Idris nods. We trade goods, he says softly. But what we remember are the moments. You take those words in slowly. As the fire settles into glowing embers, you feel a deep sense of peace. The desert night has a way of softening the heart, of reminding you how little you truly need to feel whole. When it is time to sleep, you spread your blanket on the soft ground. The stones around the camp hold a faint warmth from the day, just enough to make lying down comfortable. You look at the sky again, letting the starlight guide your thoughts into stillness. Your body begins to relax completely. Your breathing slows. The sounds of the night, light wind, distant camel breaths, the last crackle of the fire, blend together into a peaceful lullaby. Your eyes grow heavy. The world becomes soft around the edges, and slowly, gently, you drift into sleep. Morning arrives with the same gentle rhythm as the days before. A cool breeze passes over your face as you wake, carrying with it the scent of dry grass and the faint sweetness of morning air. The sky glows in soft pastel colors, light orange, pale pink, and the lingering blue of night fading away. You push yourself up and sit for a moment, letting your senses adjust. Traders around you stretch their arms and rub their eyes. Some speak in low voices, exchanging quiet greetings. Samir kneels beside the fire pit again, coaxing the embers to life. Idris prepares tea, and soon the warm aroma fills the basin. Everyone shares breakfast in calm silence. The bread is warm, the dates soft, and the tea soothing. You sip slowly, feeling the warmth move through your body as the morning settles around the group. Once the meal is done, preparations for departure begin. Bags are tied. Camels are guided upright. Blankets are folded and stored. The wind carries faint dust across the basin, swirling it gently around the camp as if giving a soft farewell. When the caravan starts moving again, the sun is rising higher, bathing the foothills in golden light. The path leads out of the basin and into a wide, open stretch of land surrounded by gentle slopes. The breeze stays cool, carrying the promise of a calm day. The landscape changes gradually as you walk. The ground becomes firmer, mixed with patches of earth cracked from old dryness. Small shrubs appear more often, some holding tiny flowers that cling stubbornly to life. Birds fly overhead, gliding effortlessly between the hills. You notice the peaceful silence settling over the caravan once again. Everyone walks with steady steps, in a rhythm that feels natural and soothing. Time seems to move slowly here, stretching into long moments of gentle thought and quiet reflection. Idris walks near you and begins to speak softly. He tells you about a distant city he once visited, a market filled with colors and scents and people from many lands. He describes fabrics dyed in deep blues and reds, spices piled high in wooden bowls, and musicians playing in the streets from morning until late at night. His voice paints every detail gently, allowing your imagination to travel beside him. You can almost smell the warmth of the spices, hear the faint echo of music drifting between buildings, and see the movement of people bargaining with smiles and steady voices. The thought of such a lively place warms your heart, yet the quiet of the desert around you feels just as precious. The caravan continues for hours. The sun climbs but doesn't overwhelm. The wind keeps its steady presence, brushing softly against your face and carrying away the heat before it becomes heavy. It's a rare kind of balance, and the travelers appreciate it silently. As the afternoon begins, Samir raises his arm and points toward a faint shape on the horizon. A structure, small, distant, barely visible yet unmistakably there. A lone watchtower, he says gently. An old guidepost. We'll rest there before night. You feel a sense of calm anticipation. Another quiet stop awaits. Another piece of history on the Silk Road ready to offer shelter and softness after a long day's journey. The road leads you onward with steady, peaceful steps. The watchtower grows clearer as the caravan approaches. At first it was only a faint shape, but now its outline stands firmly against the afternoon sky. A tall, narrow structure made of sun-baked clay bricks, weathered by time but still holding its place with quiet dignity. The upper section is partially worn away, leaving the top open like a softly broken crown. Even so, it stands strong, a reminder of the generations of travelers who relied on its presence. The closer you get, the more peaceful the area feels. The land here is flatter, gentler, almost inviting. The wind moves steadily across the open space, carrying cool air that brings comfort after the long walk. Small clusters of desert grass sway lightly, their movement calming to watch. When the caravan reaches the base of the watchtower, the camels kneel with slow, relieved breaths. Their shadows stretch long across the ground as the sun begins its slow dip toward evening. Traders remove their packs and spread blankets around the open area. The ground is soft enough to sit on comfortably, and the air carries a faint earthy scent. You walk toward the tower and touch the brick surface. It feels warm from the day's sunlight, but the warmth is gentle, soothing rather than harsh. The texture is rough in some places, smooth in others, shaped by wind and sand over countless seasons. You imagine the many hands that touched these same walls long before you, perhaps seeking guidance or simply resting in the shade. Samir approaches and stands beside you. "It's an old guidepost," he says quietly, "a signal for travelers that water once flowed not far from here. Now the river is gone, but the tower remains. It has watched over caravans for hundreds of years." You both look up at the open sky through the missing top of the tower. A soft breeze passes through it, creating a gentle, hollow sound that echoes faintly inside the structure. It feels like the tower is breathing with the wind, holding onto its place in the vast desert with quiet patience. As evening settles in, Idris prepares a small fire near the base of the watchtower. The flames rise slowly, casting warm light against the brick walls. Shadows dance softly across the surface, shifting with each flicker. The atmosphere feels calm and safe, as if the tower itself offers protection. The traders gather around the fire for another simple meal. Warm lentils, bread, and dried fruit are shared among the group. You sit close to the flames, feeling their warmth spread through your hands and face. The sound of crackling wood blends with the gentle wind moving past the tower, creating a soothing rhythm. Conversation is light tonight, calm, thoughtful, unhurried. Some speak about old roads they've traveled. Others share small bits of humor that bring soft laughter, and a few sit quietly, enjoying the peaceful silence. No one feels the need to fill the air with too many words. The desert teaches everyone that stillness has its own voice. After the meal, Samir leads a few travelers to the top of a small rise near the tower. You join them, stepping carefully along the smooth path carved by countless feet before yours. When you reach the ridge, the view opens beautifully. The sky is washed in soft shades of orange and gold. The sun hangs low, its light spreading across the desert in long, gentle rays. The shadows of the foothills stretch far, creating waves of cool darkness that ripple across the sand. It feels peaceful just to stand there and watch the day drift slowly into night. Samir folds his arms and looks at the horizon. "The desert is honest," he says softly. "It doesn't hide its beauty. It gives you everything slowly, so you appreciate each moment. You breathe in deeply. The air carries the warmth of the fading day mixed with the cool promise of night. It fills your chest with a calm you can feel down to your bones. As the sun finally dips below the horizon, the first stars appear. One, then another, then dozens, tiny sparks shining against the darkening sky. The world becomes quieter with each passing minute. The wind softens to a gentle whisper. The air cools comfortably. The campfires glow brighter in the growing night. You walk back to the watchtower, where Idris is humming a slow, peaceful tune as he tends the fire. Some traders lie on their blankets already, their faces relaxed as they watch the stars above. A camel groans softly nearby, shifting its weight as it settles into rest. The flames of the fire sway gently, sending warm light across the ground. You sit beside Idris, and he hands you a small cup of warm tea. The heat spreads through your fingers, soothing and pleasant. You sip slowly, letting the flavor settle on your tongue. Idris begins to speak again, his voice low and steady. He tells you the tower was once part of a chain of beacons. At night, fires were lit on top of them, guiding caravans safely across the desert. He describes how the lights would glow in a line, leading travelers like distant stars near the earth. You imagine the scene, fires burning atop towers stretching across the desert, flickering gently in the night wind, giving direction and comfort to countless travelers moving through the dark. The image feels ancient and beautiful. As Idris's words fade, the night deepens. Stars scatter more thickly across the sky. The fire glows low but steady. The watchtower stands tall and calm, its silent presence making the campsite feel safe and timeless. You lie down on your blanket, the ground warm enough to be comfortable. The wind carries a soft, steady sound through the open top of the tower. Your body relaxes more with each breath. Your eyes grow heavy. The world slows. The fire becomes a soft blur. The stars shift gently above. And slowly, peacefully, you drift into sleep again, cradled by the quiet desert night, the ancient watchtower, and the gentle rhythm of the Silk Road. Morning rises quietly around the old watchtower, soft and cool. The first light touches the upper edges of the structure, making the clay bricks glow with a pale, warm hue. The desert around you wakes slowly. A light breeze moves across the open land, carrying the faint scent of dry grass and stone. You breathe it in as your eyes open, feeling your mind settle into the peaceful rhythm of another day on the Silk Road. The camp is calm. Traders rise gradually, stretching their arms, rubbing sleep from their eyes, and wrapping their cloaks tighter around their shoulders until the sun warms the air. A few camels shift and groan softly as they prepare to stand. Their slow movements create a comforting, steady rhythm that blends with the whisper of the wind. Samir is already at the fire pit, coaxing the embers awake. Idris sits beside him, blowing softly into a small clay cup to cool his tea before taking a slow sip. The two exchange a quiet greeting, their voices soft and relaxed, as if they've known this morning routine for decades. You join them and accept a warm cup of tea. The flavor is familiar now, earthy, slightly sweet, comforting in a way that makes your body respond with slow contentment. You drink it as you watch the sunlight spread across the desert floor, gradually pushing away the shadows. The camp is packed with smooth, practiced movements. Blankets rolled, ropes tightened, packs secured onto camels. The watchtower stands silently behind, a calm witness to the beginning of another day. Before leaving, a few traders touch the base of the tower lightly, as if offering a quiet farewell or a promise to return someday. The caravan sets out once more, moving away from the tower at an easy pace. The ground slopes gently downward into a wide, open stretch of land with soft dunes rising and falling like slow waves. The wind picks up slightly, brushing past your face and guiding the group forward. As you walk, Idris moves beside you. Ahead, he says softly, pointing toward the distant horizon, is a place where two roads meet. Travelers from the north and south cross there. It's a quiet place, but full of stories. Samir smiles. And sometimes surprises, he adds. You never know who you'll meet on that path. The idea brings a quiet feeling of curiosity. The Silk Road is full of unexpected encounters. Strangers who walk with you for a day or two, share a meal, share a story, then continue their journey in another direction. These moments feel temporary yet meaningful, like brief stars crossing the sky. The morning sun rises higher, warming the sand beneath your feet. But the wind remains steady, keeping the heat gentle. The caravan continues with soft, rhythmic steps. The sound of movement becomes a soothing lull, footsteps, camel breaths, faint jingling bells, and the whisper of shifting sand. After several hours, the landscape begins to change. The dunes flatten gradually into a broad plain where traces of old paths become visible. You notice faint lines in the earth, shaped by generations of caravans that passed through long before you. Some paths run parallel, others cross, creating a quiet network of history beneath your feet. As the caravan approaches the crossing of the two roads, the air feels different, lighter, almost expectant. And then, in the distance, you see movement. Another caravan. Their line stretches across the plain, moving slowly from the south. The sight is calming rather than surprising. Two caravans meeting on the Silk Road is a gentle reminder that no traveler is ever truly alone. The world is wide, but the paths bring people together in quiet, peaceful ways. When the groups meet, they stop at a comfortable distance. Greetings are exchanged with warm smiles and respectful nods. Some of the travelers know each other from previous journeys. Others offer introductions with soft voices and genuine friendliness. You sit on the ground as the two groups mingle. People share water, trade small goods, and pass around pieces of dried fruit. Conversations rise softly in different languages, blending together into a gentle hum of shared experience. Idris speaks with an older man from the other caravan. Their voices carry stories back and forth, memories of past travels, changes in distant markets, shifts in weather patterns across the desert. The exchange feels peaceful, like two branches of a river meeting for a brief moment before parting again. Samir chats with a young woman carrying beautifully woven cloth. She shows him the patterns, explaining how each color is made from different plants or minerals. Her voice is calm and proud, and Samir listens with genuine interest. You watch them talk, appreciating the ease with which strangers connect along this ancient road. After some time, the caravans prepare to continue their separate journeys. Farewells are warm but brief. Hands are clasped, shoulders touched, simple blessings exchanged. Then both groups turn toward their respective paths. As your caravan moves forward again, Idris walks beside you with a small smile. Every meeting changes us, he says softly. Even the smallest one. You think about those travelers as they fade into the distance, their caravan shrinking until it blends into the shimmering horizon. The desert has a way of making every moment feel both fleeting and eternal at once. The afternoon sun casts long shadows ahead of the group. The wind cools slightly as the heat begins to soften. The plain stretches far and open, but it doesn't feel empty. It feels alive with the footsteps of those who came before and those who will come after. When the sun begins to lower, the caravan searches for a place to stop for the night. Near the horizon, you see a cluster of rocks forming a natural alcove. The shapes look curved and smooth, as if carved softly by centuries of wind. The space inside appears sheltered and quiet, a perfect place to rest. As you approach, you can already feel the coolness coming from the shaded stone. The ground is soft and clean, untouched except for faint marks left by animals seeking shade. The wind hums gently through the curved rocks, creating a peaceful, rounded echo. The caravan settles in. Camels kneel. Supplies are unpacked. A fire is lit, smaller than usual, adding just enough warmth and light to the space. The rock walls around you glow faintly in the sunset, their surfaces painted in soft oranges and pinks. The atmosphere is calm, comforting, almost like being inside a naturally formed sanctuary. As night approaches, you feel your body relax again, guided by the gentle rhythm of the road. Another day has passed quietly, beautifully, peacefully, and the Silk Road continues. Evening settles gradually in the stone alcove, bringing with it a deep, steady calm. The shadows soften as the sun slips behind the distant dunes, leaving a warm afterglow across the curved rock walls. The alcove holds the day's warmth for a little while, releasing it in slow, gentle waves that make the space feel cozy and welcoming. The fire crackles quietly in the center of the camp. Its light dances across the stone surfaces, creating soft patterns that move like drifting reflections on water. The traders sit around the flames in relaxed positions, legs stretched out, backs against rocks, heads tilted upward as the first stars appear overhead. The atmosphere is peaceful, like a long, slow exhale shared by everyone. You sit beside Idris, who crushes a few herbs between his fingers before dropping them into a small pot of hot water. The aroma rises instantly, fresh, calming, with a faint sweetness. It blends with the gentle scent of the fire, filling the alcove with warmth and tranquility. He hands you a cup with a soft smile. "For the night," he says quietly. You take a sip. The drink is soothing, smooth, and almost floral. It relaxes your chest and shoulders almost immediately. Samir leans back near you, resting his hands behind him as he gazes at the sky. "These rocks," he says softly, "have sheltered travelers for hundreds of years. People from far away, people from nearby villages, all stopping in the same place. It connects us, even if we never meet." You nod, feeling the truth of it. The idea is comforting, that this quiet spot has held so many stories, so many people seeking the same rest you're taking now. The thought makes the night feel warm and meaningful. A gentle breeze enters the alcove, brushing lightly against your skin. It carries the coolness of the approaching night, but mixes with the fire's warmth in a way that feels balanced and pleasant. The flames rise slightly with each shift of air, their light flickering across faces and stone. A few traders begin telling short stories again. Their voices are low and slow, blending perfectly with the quiet atmosphere. One man talks about a time he traded in a mountain village where the people danced every night to celebrate the end of the day. Another describes a hidden valley where wild lavender grows in long, purple fields. Their tales feel dreamy, like soft pictures painted in the air. Idris adds a story of his own. He speaks of a rare moment when the desert bloomed after a sudden rain, flowers appearing in a single night, covering the sand in colors no one expected. His eyes soften as he remembers it. "It lasted only a few days," he says gently, "but it felt like a gift from the earth itself." Every word he speaks seems to settle into the alcove, blending with the firelight and the quiet night around you. You feel yourself relaxing deeper, letting go of any tension you didn't realize you were carrying. Soon, the conversations fade. People grow quieter, more thoughtful. The fire becomes the main sound in the alcove, crackling softly as it burns down to glowing embers. The sky above grows darker, revealing more stars, clear, bright, and steady. They seem to hang closer here than anywhere else, their light crisp against the dark. Samir eventually lies down on his blanket, folding his arms comfortably on his chest. "Rest well," he murmurs, his voice barely above a whisper. "Tomorrow, we reach a ridge with a view you will not forget." Idris also prepares for sleep, covering himself lightly and taking one last slow breath before settling in. Around the camp, blankets shift, quiet sighs escape tired bodies, and people nestle into their places for the night. You lie down as well, letting your back rest against the warm ground. The stone beside you radiates the last of its heat, making your spot feel especially comfortable. The air around you cools gradually, stroking your face and arms with gentle touches. The stars above shimmer with a calm brilliance. The wind moves softly across the top of the alcove, creating a faint, soothing hum. The fire's glow fades into a soft orange, casting just enough light to feel safe without disturbing the stillness. Your eyes become heavy. Your breathing slows. The world narrows to gentle sounds and dim, drifting light. The desert night holds you with a steady, peaceful presence, and sleep rises up like a warm tide. You drift off quietly, embraced by the calm shelter of the stone alcove and the endless, tranquil sky. Morning returns with a soft golden glow that creeps slowly over the rock walls. You feel it first on your face, warm and gentle, encouraging you to open your eyes. The alcove is calm and quiet, except for the faint murmur of traders stirring awake. Camels shift softly nearby, making low, contented sounds. Samir stands near the entrance, watching the horizon where the sun rises. Idris prepares morning tea again, pouring it into small clay cups with steady hands. The scent is familiar, comforting, something that signals the beginning of another peaceful day on the Silk Road. After breakfast, the caravan prepares to move once more. Bags are tied, blankets folded, and the last traces of the fire are covered. The alcove feels serene as you leave it, like a gentle memory being tucked away in the heart of the desert. Outside, the path slopes gradually upward. Ahead lies the ridge Samir mentioned, a place said to offer a wide view of the land, a place where travelers often stop to breathe in the beauty of the world before them. The morning air is cool, the light soft, and the rhythm of the caravan steady. As you walk toward the ridge, you feel a growing sense of anticipation. The desert around you stretches quietly, glowing beneath the morning sun. The journey continues, calm and steady, leading you onward through the ancient, peaceful heart of the Silk Road. The climb toward the ridge is gentle, the kind of slow ascent that doesn't tire the body but awakens the senses. The morning light grows brighter with each step, and the wind moves steadily across the rising ground, brushing against your clothes and carrying the coolness of early day. The sound of footsteps remains rhythmic, calm, almost meditative. The rocks beneath your feet feel firm and smooth, shaped by centuries of weather. Small patches of hardy plants grow between them, their leaves shifting lightly in the breeze. The higher you go, the wider the view behind you becomes. The alcove where you slept now looks like a quiet hollow tucked safely against the desert floor. Idris walks just ahead, his pace relaxed as always. "Almost there," he says softly, glancing back with a small smile. The view reminds travelers why the road is worth walking. Samir lifts his head slightly, taking in a deep breath as if he already feels the openness waiting at the top. His steps are steady, and his eyes carry a peaceful expectation. The rest of the caravan follows in a calm line, camels swaying gently, traders humming low melodies to keep the rhythm of the walk. As you reach the final few steps, the wind grows a little stronger, though never unpleasant. It carries with it a faint whisper of distant lands, a suggestion of how far the Silk Road stretches beyond what you've seen. The light brightens, turning the sand ahead into soft gold. Then you reach the ridge. The world opens. The view spreads out in all directions, wide and endless. Below stretches a vast plain that seems to glow under the morning sun. Layers of sand, gentle curves of dunes, distant hills softened by haze, and shimmering hints of old riverbeds that twist through the land like forgotten paths. The horizon is so wide that it feels like the sky is resting in your palms. The wind carries a quiet sigh across the ridge, as if greeting you. You breathe in deeply, filling your lungs with the fresh, open air. The sensation is calming, almost cleansing. The vastness fills your chest with a peaceful ache, the kind that comes from witnessing something beautifully timeless. Samir stands beside you, his hands resting lightly on his hips. This, he says softly, is the heart of the journey. Not the markets, not the cities, not the trading halls. This feeling, this quiet. Idris nods, his eyes fixed on the horizon. A traveler who walks this ridge remembers it forever, he adds. It is a reminder that the world is bigger than our worries, and gentler than we sometimes realize. You stand there for a long moment, simply taking in the landscape. The desert below glows with all the colors of morning. Soft yellows, pale oranges, and subtle browns blending together in a calm, drifting harmony. Birds glide in lazy arcs above the plain, their shadows slipping silently over the sand. The wind hums a low, soothing note that wraps around your ears. Other travelers stand nearby, equally still, equally moved. No one speaks loudly. They don't need to. The silence feels full, meaningful, like a shared understanding. Eventually, the caravan begins to move along the ridge, following a gentle path that curves downward into the open land below. You take one last look at the vast view behind you, carrying the calm of it into your heart before stepping forward. The descent is easy. The sand here is soft but firm enough to walk comfortably. As the group continues, you notice distant shapes on the plain, flat rocks, dried shrubs, and subtle traces of old caravan routes stretching like faint lines across the earth. Hours pass slowly and peacefully. The sun rises higher, but the breeze continues to move, keeping the warmth from becoming heavy. Idris tells small bits of history here and there, his voice soft and steady. He explains how ancient travelers once brought ideas that spread across continents, shaping cultures far from their origins. He speaks of mathematicians, healers, storytellers, and artisans, all walking this same path. You imagine them walking beside you, their footsteps blending with yours, their thoughts shaping the world without loud announcements or grand intentions. Quiet influence born from simple journeys. The caravan pauses briefly at midday for rest. A few travelers stretch out on blankets. Camels kneel and chew patiently. The breeze cools your skin. The shade of a tall rock formation provides a peaceful spot to sit, and you watch the shimmering horizon while eating a small meal of bread and dried figs. After the break, the journey continues. The sun shifts toward the west, casting long shadows across the open plain. The sky begins to warm in color, preparing for evening. The light softens, creating a golden glow that moves gently across the landscape. In the distance, you see something new. A small grove of low, hardy trees clustered together in a shallow dip in the land. The leaves shimmer in the breeze, and a soft green hue stands out against the desert tones. A wind grove, Samir explains quietly. Travelers used to plant trees along certain paths, a gift to those who came after. The thought warms your heart. Strangers planting trees not for themselves, but for others who would walk the road long later. Quiet kindness left in the soil. When the caravan reaches the grove, the air becomes noticeably cooler. The trees sway softly, their branches brushing against each other with a peaceful sound. The ground beneath them is slightly softer, as if holding moisture from deep below. The group settles for the night beneath the trees. Blankets are laid out. Packs are set aside. Camels wander gently among the shade, their steps slow and restful. Idris lights a small fire, and the flames glow softly against the tree trunks. The grove feels like a hidden sanctuary, calm, protected, timeless. As the sun dips lower, the sky turns a gentle rose color, fading into deeper shades of orange and purple. The desert becomes quiet again, holding the night close. You sit under the trees, listening to the rustling leaves, feeling the coolness of the breeze, letting your mind drift into a peaceful stillness. Another day has gone by on the Silk Road, and the journey continues with quiet grace. Night settles gently over the wind grove, carrying a cool comfort through the air. The branches sway softly above the camp, their leaves creating a steady whisper that sounds almost like breathing. Lantern light flickers through the trees, casting delicate patterns on the ground, shifting shapes that drift slowly as the wind moves. The caravan sits together in a loose circle beneath the trees. The fire crackles with a soft, warm glow, its light reflected in the traders' eyes as they settle into calm conversation. The scent of warm herbs rises from a pot Idris placed near the flames, filling the grove with a relaxing aroma that blends with the natural scent of the leaves. You sit comfortably on your blanket, leaning back against the trunk of a tree. The rough bark feels cool, grounding, steady. Above you, patches of sky appear through the swaying branches, revealing clusters of stars that shimmer softly with each movement of the leaves. Samir speaks in a gentle tone, telling a story about a merchant he once met who believed the wind carried messages from distant lands. He used to say, Samir murmurs, that if you sit quietly long enough, the breeze will tell you things. Warnings, blessings, advice from places you've never seen. He smiles faintly. I don't know if it's true, but nights like this make me want to believe it. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the cool wind brush against your face. The idea feels strangely comforting, that the world is connected in quiet ways, that the wind itself might carry pieces of stories from across the desert. Idris adds a quiet thought. Sometimes the wind feels like a companion, he says. On the hardest days it cools us. On lonely nights it sings. It is never still for long. He takes a slow sip of tea. Maybe it does speak, just not in words we understand. Their voices blend into the peaceful soundscape of the grove. The fire crackles, leaves rustle overhead, camels murmur gently as they settle in for the night. Everything feels soft and slow, as if time itself has relaxed. One of the younger travelers begins humming a soft tune. It floats effortlessly through the trees, carried by the wind. The melody is simple, gentle, repetitive, calming. Others join in softly, creating a quiet harmony that wraps around the camp like a warm blanket. The tune fades eventually, leaving only the wind and the fire. Conversations turn more hushed, then drift away completely. People begin lying down on their blankets, pulling covers over themselves. The soft sounds of sleep start to spread through the grove. A calm sigh, a slow breath, the quiet shifting of fabric. You lie back and look up at the branches above. The stars peek through in scattered clusters, shimmering faintly between leaves. The breeze moves gently across your face and arms, carrying with it the coolness of night. Your eyelids grow heavy. Your body relaxes deeper into the earth beneath you. The last thing you hear before sleep pulls you in is the steady whisper of the trees. Soft, rhythmic, soothing. Morning arrives with a pale golden glow filtering through the leaves. The light dances across your face, warming your skin and waking you gently. Birds hidden in the grove begin chirping softly, their morning songs blending with the rustling branches. You sit up slowly. The grove feels even more peaceful in the early light. The air is cool, carrying the faint freshness of dawn. The traders wake one by one, stretching their arms, rubbing their eyes, and greeting the day with quiet voices. Samir rekindles the fire, while Idris prepares the morning tea once again. The warm drink feels especially comforting here, beneath the gentle shade of the trees. You sip slowly, letting the warmth spread through your chest as sunlight slowly grows brighter around you. Once breakfast is finished, the group begins packing. Blankets folded, ropes tightened, supplies loaded onto camels. The trees sway above, their branches brushing lightly against each other in a slow, natural rhythm. Before leaving, many travelers place their hands gently on the trunks of the nearest trees, a small gesture of gratitude for the night's shelter. The grove seems to respond with a soft rustle, as if acknowledging the farewell. The caravan moves once more into the open desert. The shade of the grove fades behind you, becoming a distant cluster of green in a sea of golden sand. The morning sun warms the sand, but the wind remains cool, guiding the caravan forward. The land ahead begins to change subtly. The sand becomes mixed with patches of light-colored stone. Small ridges appear, gentle waves shaped by ancient winds. Idris walks beside you and explains that the caravan is approaching a region known for its quiet rock fields. The ground feels different, he says softly. The sound of footsteps changes. It becomes lighter. As you walk, you notice he's right. The stones beneath your feet create a faint, almost musical tapping as everyone moves. The desert is never silent, but here the sounds are delicate, soft enough to make the journey feel like walking through a dream. Hours pass in calm rhythm. The caravan maintains its steady pace, the wind brushing gently against your face. Samir occasionally points out small tracks in the sand, signs of foxes, birds, or wild hares that passed during the night. He explains them with quiet interest, his voice blending with the breeze. By late afternoon, the sky begins to shift. Clouds appear in thin streaks, painted lightly across the blue. The sun softens, casting warm, mellow light that makes the rocks glow with shades of soft amber and gold. Ahead, you notice a faint dip in the landscape, a shallow valley with smooth stone walls and a narrow entrance carved naturally by wind and time. Idris smiles gently as he sees you notice. That, he says, is where we rest tonight. The valley looks peaceful, like a hidden pocket of quiet tucked away from the vast desert. The caravan approaches slowly, stepping through the narrow entrance and into the calm, open space beyond. The stone walls glow softly, and the breeze moves through the valley with a gentle hum. It feels like another sanctuary gifted by the desert. The valley embraces the caravan with a comforting stillness. The stone walls curve gently inward, shaped by centuries of wind, forming a natural shelter that feels both open and protective. The ground is smooth and cool beneath your feet, a mix of soft sand and polished stone that seems to welcome each traveler quietly. The breeze moves through the narrow entrance with a soft, steady hum, as if the valley itself is breathing. The camels kneel one by one, their shadows stretching across the stone as the sun drifts lower in the sky. Traders unpack their bags with slow, practiced motions. Blankets are spread across the smooth ground, fires are prepared, and soft conversations drift through the air, mixing with the faint echo of the wind bouncing gently between the walls. You take a moment to walk toward the center of the valley. The space feels like a bowl carved from the earth, open to the sky above yet sheltered from the harsher winds of the outer desert. When you look up, the ridges frame the sky like the edges of a great window, and the clouds drift slowly overhead. Samir approaches, carrying a bundle of dry twigs. This place, he says in a calm voice, was once a resting point for caravans that carried jade and porcelain from the Far East. They used to say the valley had soft voices that guided travelers through storms. You listen closely, but all you hear is the wind. Even so, the idea feels comforting, that the valley might hold memories of travelers long gone, offering the same calm and protection to those who walk the road today. Idris begins preparing a fire near the western wall where the stone meets the sand. The gentle sparks rise, and soon a steady flame glows warmly, reflecting on the stone surface with a soft, flickering light. The warmth spreads through the valley slowly, pushing away the lingering coolness of the afternoon. The group gathers around the fire for the evening meal. The pot is filled with grains and small pieces of dried vegetables, simmered until the mixture becomes thick and soothing. Everyone eats quietly, savoring the warmth as it fills their stomachs after the long day's journey. A few traders begin sharing simple stories. Their voices echo gently, softened by the roundness of the valley. One man talks about a far western city where markets stay open late into the night, lanterns glowing along every street. Another tells a story about losing his way in a sandstorm years ago and how a caravan he'd never met before found him and led him back to safety. The stories float through the valley like gentle drafts, rising and fading with the light breeze. As evening turns to night, the sky above darkens into deep blue. The first stars appear, small glimmers that grow brighter with each passing minute. The stone walls reflect their light faintly, giving the valley an almost magical glow. The fire crackles as logs shift slightly, sending warm sparks upward. You lie back on your blanket, feeling the smooth stone beneath it. The warmth from the fire reaches your face and hands. The wind hums softly through the valley entrance, carrying the scent of the burning wood and the cool night air. Samir sits nearby, his voice low and gentle. "Whenever I pass this place," he says, "I feel as if the desert is telling us to rest deeply. Some valleys are meant for sleeping." Idris chuckles softly. "Then tonight," he answers, "we should listen." As the fire dies down to glowing embers, people begin to settle into sleep. Blankets rustle, soft sighs float through the valley, and camels shift quietly in the distance, their breathing steady. The valley absorbs all these sounds, holding them gently like a lullaby. You breathe slowly, the cool night air filling your lungs. The stars shimmer above you, framed perfectly by the curved stone walls. Their light feels close, peaceful, protective. Your eyelids grow heavy. The sounds become softer, drifting, distant. The warmth of the fire and the gentle breath of the valley wrap around you, and you drift into sleep, deep, calm, and unhurried. Morning enters silently, slipping into the valley as a pale golden light. The stone walls glow softly in the early brightness, and the air carries the cool freshness of dawn. You wake slowly, stretching your limbs and feeling well-rested. The valley seems even more peaceful in the morning, as if it has held your dreams safely through the night. Traders rise gradually. Some wander toward the entrance to watch the sun climb over the dunes. Others begin preparing water, rolling blankets, or packing supplies. Idris warms the morning tea over the fire's remaining embers, and soon the familiar scent fills the air. You drink your tea slowly, breathing in the warm steam. Samir comes to stand beside you, watching the sunlight spill across the valley floor. "Today," he says, "the road leads us closer to the high dunes. They look difficult, but the sand there is firm in the mornings. It is a peaceful climb if we start early." After breakfast, the caravan gathers at the valley entrance. The curved walls seem to glow as the sun illuminates them fully. You take one last look at the quiet sanctuary, feeling gratitude for its shelter and beauty. Then you step forward with the caravan as it moves into the open desert once more. The dunes ahead rise gently in the distance, soft golden waves shaped by time, glowing warm in the morning sun. The road continues, steady and calm, and you walk, guided by the familiar rhythm of the Silk Road. The morning air feels cool and refreshing as the caravan moves away from the valley and begins approaching the high dunes. The sand ahead glows with soft golden light, shimmering gently as the sun climbs higher. The dunes rise in long curves, smooth and quiet, like enormous waves frozen in time. Despite their size, they feel welcoming, their slopes gentle and warm under the early sunlight. Your footsteps sink slightly into the sand at first, but as you continue, you notice that Samir was right. The morning firmness beneath the surface creates a steady, comfortable path. The wind glides across the dunes, shaping them slowly, brushing loose grains forward in delicate patterns that shift like slow-moving water. Idris walks beside you, his pace calm and even. "The dunes change every day," he says softly. "No two mornings look the same, but the road always finds its way through them." The caravan moves in a long line, their shadows stretching behind them. The camels leave soft prints that trail across the curves of the sand. The air carries a peaceful silence, broken only by the rhythmic steps of the group, the occasional jingle of harness bells, and the soft whisper of sand shifting underfoot. As you climb the first dune, the view behind you expands. The valley where you slept becomes a small shape nestled among the land, already beginning to blend into the desert. The wind grove in the far distance appears like a faint green memory. The watchtower ridge has faded into the horizon. Everything feels far, gentle, and dreamlike. When you reach the top of the dune, the world opens once more. Ahead lies a vast sea of rolling sand, dunes rising and falling in smooth shapes, glowing softly like sunlight captured in stillness. The sight fills your chest with a deep, quiet breath. You feel small but not lost. Instead, you feel held by the peaceful enormity of the desert. Samir smiles at your reaction. "This is my favorite part of the road," he says quietly. "It feels like walking across the sky." The descent down the dune is gentle, your feet sliding slightly with each step. The sand flows softly beneath you, warm but not too hot. The breeze carries a faint, dry sweetness, like the scent of sunlit sand itself. For hours, the caravan continues across the dunes. The world becomes a peaceful rhythm of rising and falling slopes, steady breaths, and the calming repetition of footsteps. Time seems to move differently here, slower, softer, blending into one long, drifting moment. Occasionally, Idris points out faint signs of old paths carved deeper into the sand where ancient caravans walked. Some sections are marked by small clusters of stones placed long ago as simple guides. You marvel at how these marks endure despite the shifting desert. The sun climbs toward its peak, and the heat gently increases. Samir signals for a break near the base of a large dune where the shade lingers. The group settles down gratefully. Camels kneel and stretch their long necks forward, closing their eyes in quiet rest. Traders sip water slowly, their faces relaxed as they lean back on their packs. You sit on the shaded sand. It feels cool beneath your hands, a soft contrast to the warming air above. The wind sweeps across the top of the dune, creating a gentle, soothing sound, like a whispering lullaby drifting down to you. The break is brief but refreshing. When the caravan rises again, the sun has softened enough for the journey to continue comfortably. The dunes begin to lower slightly, their shapes becoming flatter as the land transitions back toward open plains. In the distance, you see a faint shimmer, a mirage dancing lightly above the sand. Idris notices you watching it and smiles. "The desert likes to show illusions," he says softly. "Places that aren't there, but beautiful to see." As you get closer, the shimmer fades into the plain, leaving only the calm horizon ahead. By late afternoon, the dunes give way to flatter ground. The sand becomes more compact, easier to walk on. Small rocks scatter across the surface. The light becomes warm and golden as the sun leans toward evening, casting long, soft shadows across the land. You notice something as you travel, a cluster of old posts standing crooked in the sand, worn down by age. They are arranged in a curved line, marking the remains of an ancient caravansary that once stood here. Only a few pieces remain, but they rise from the sand like faint memories refusing to disappear. Samir walks toward one of the posts and places his hand on it gently. "This place once sheltered hundreds of travelers," he says quietly. "Walls, rooms, fires at night, all gone now. But the road remembers." The group decides to rest here for the evening. The land is open but gentle, and the old posts provide a sense of shared history. A place where countless footsteps once paused just as you do now. The camels kneel, and the traders spread their blankets on the cooling sand. Idris gathers small pieces of wood collected during earlier stops. The fire is lit, glowing softly in the growing twilight. Its warmth blends with the calm of the evening, forming a peaceful circle of light in the open desert. You sit near one of the old posts, feeling the texture of the wood, dry, cracked, and warm from the sun. The grain is faded, but you can still imagine the hands that touched it long ago. The thought brings a quiet, reflective stillness to your heart. As the sun sinks below the horizon, the sky deepens into shades of gold, rose, and purple. The firelight flickers across the sand, creating soft waves of light that ripple with every movement of air. A few travelers begin speaking. Their voices are low, thoughtful, filled with stories of past journeys, distant markets, and people they've met along the way. The tales float gently through the dusty air, blending with the evening wind. Idris hums a soft melody while stirring the pot of food over the fire. The scent drifts toward you, warm, familiar, comforting. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the smell and the sounds sink into you. When you open them again, the sky is darker. Stars begin to appear, scattered across the vast desert canopy. Their light reflects faintly on the sand, giving the world a soft, muted glow. You lie back on your blanket, watching the night deepen. The breath of the desert flows around you, steady, cool, calming. The fire crackles softly. The murmurs of the traders fade. The camels settle in. Your body relaxes, sinking into the warm sand beneath you. And the quiet night on the Silk Road wraps around you like a soft, endless dream. Morning arrives slowly, with a soft glow spreading across the open plain. The old posts cast long shadows across the sand, and the fire's remaining embers flicker faintly before fading completely. The air is cool and quiet, carrying the familiar scent of desert morning, the same comforting calm that has welcomed you each day of the journey. You sit up, stretching your arms as the sun begins to rise. Traders move quietly around the camp, gathering their belongings with slow, steady motions. Samir kneels near the fire pit, brushing aside the ash and preparing to start the morning tea. Idris pours water into the pot, humming a gentle tune that blends smoothly with the early breeze. The warmth of the tea spreads through your hands and your chest as you drink. Everyone eats a small breakfast: bread, dates, and a little dried fruit. No one speaks loudly. There's a shared feeling in the air today, one that says the journey is nearing its quiet, natural end. The caravan begins walking again just as the sun clears the horizon. The light is soft and golden, casting delicate warmth across the sand. The air feels still, gentle, almost reverent. The path is flat and easy, the ground firm beneath your feet. It feels as though the desert itself is guiding the caravan forward with a calm, approving hand. After a while, you notice something ahead. Low stone markers arranged neatly in a line. Idris explains that these mark the boundary of an ancient trading settlement. Small now, mostly worn away, but once vibrant with travelers from many lands. As the group approaches, you can see faint remnants, outlines of foundations, scattered pottery fragments, and a few stone walls barely rising above the sand. The caravan pauses. Samir places his hand gently on one of the old stones. Every journey must end somewhere, he says softly. And every ending is only another beginning for the next traveler. You walk through the quiet ruins, imagining footsteps that moved through here centuries ago. Merchants, families, wanderers, all carrying stories and memories along the Silk Road. Though the buildings have faded, the feeling remains. This place once welcomed everyone, just as the desert has welcomed you. The caravan stops beside what once might have been a small gathering area. Here, the group decides to rest for the final time. The camels kneel quietly. Traders remove their packs and sit on the warm sand. Idris lights a small fire, and the flames rise slowly, steady and calm. Samir sits beside you and looks out at the endless stretch of desert beyond the ruins. "This is where we part," he says softly. "For us, the road continues east. For you, your path leads elsewhere." His voice isn't sad, just gentle, accepting, filled with the understanding that every traveler sooner or later finds their own turning point. Idris joins the two of you, handing you a small cup of tea. "The desert remembers every step," he says, "and it keeps the quiet parts of our journey safe." You take a slow sip. The tea is warm and soothing, the taste familiar and comforting. The fire crackles softly, blending with the wind and the calm hum of the desert. The moment feels still, suspended. When the tea is finished, the caravan begins preparing to leave. Camels rise, ropes are secured, and bags are fastened one last time. Samir places his hand on your shoulder, giving a small nod, steady, respectful, warm. Idris smiles gently, his eyes carrying the quiet wisdom of countless journeys. "You walked well," he says in his soft voice. "May your steps stay steady, and your heart stay light." You watch as the caravan begins to move eastward, their silhouettes drifting slowly across the sand. The bells on the camels jingle softly, growing quieter with each step. The wind rises slightly, carrying their shapes into the shimmering horizon. Soon they become distant, then small, then almost part of the desert itself. You stand in the quiet ruins, breathing slowly, feeling the calm of the road settle deep inside you. The sand shifts gently in the wind. The sky stretches endlessly above. The silence is warm, comforting, peaceful. The journey has ended, but its calm remains with you. The rhythm of the Silk Road, soft steps, gentle winds, quiet stories, glowing fires, stays alive in your memory, like a warm ember that never fully fades. You take one last breath of the cool desert air, and with steady footsteps, you begin your own path forward, carrying the peace of the ancient road within you, wherever you go next.